This is the famous book, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker-Eddy. And look, this is for the part of you that's afraid to give big. Think about this. What then is the material personality which suffers? Well, that's you. You're looking at your pocketbook and saying, well, this is what I'm willing to give God. Well, remember Cain and Abel. Remember what happened. Cain wanted to offer God, his little extras, and God rejected it. And Abel, gave richly from the fat of his, stock. Well, that's what was blessed. The part of you that's offended by stepping into God's grace and outside of your own reasoning, material personality, that's it. Well, that eventually sins and dies, doesn't it? That's not you. It is not man. The image and likeness of God, but man's counterfeit. So you're acting in the counterfeit version of life, and you're expecting for God's harvest to become known to you. Think about it. Stop. You're acting from a counterfeit position of material personality, and you're wanting to be the image and likeness of God, reflecting his wealth. Well, either you open up as a conduit for God's wealth to flow through fearlessly, or you don't. The inverted likeness, the unlikeness called sin, sickness, and death, the unreality of the claim that immortal is the true image of God is illustrated by the opposite nature of spirit and matter, mind and body, for one is intelligence while the other is non-intelligence. Spirit is intelligence. The whole nature of your life is to become the giver, period, full stop. I said the entire nature that is expanding through you is to become the giver of love and all good things. As you give, so shall you receive. In fact, when I said, when man thinks he's given, he is receiving, I meant it. Oh, I got more. Catherine Ponder's book, The Millionaire Moses. Let's just use Moses, right? And let's just go to right here. I think I got page 155. How to invoke the law of opulence through giving properly. The law of opulence includes where you give your tithe. You place your faith where you place your money. You should give your tithes at the point or points where you are receiving spiritual help or inspiration. Like when somebody's trying to get you to come out of your lack, come out of your personality, step into your spirit, go big on God. A businesswoman once wrote, I don't understand it. I'm using the laws of prosperity, yet I'm not prospering. I have an apartment because I can't keep rented. Don't tell me where to tithe and don't tell me how to tithe. I'm already doing it. So when asked, where are you tithing? She replied, I cannot see that it matters where I give. I tithe to the church that I used to attend because they still send me pledge cards. But I attend another church now where I find far more inspirational and practical help. Look, she was given to the wrong place. So if you like our ministry and our ministry supports you, sorry that this is my bed, but I do my studies in the morning. This is where you sow. Now, if you're going to another church, well, first of all, why are you here? You should be sticking to one thing. You shouldn't be bouncing around, I follow 10 different people and I got all these bag of tricks. It means you don't have any. This is the truth. If you follow 10 different ministries and organizations, it means you don't have any because you're not sold out on anything. Therefore, you've never activated your full faith. You're just window shopping in spirituality. You've got all of the knowledge, but none of the data because you haven't actually put it to the test. Because if you were sold out on something, then sold out means I'm committed for life. This is what I do because I know God. That's what it means. It doesn't mean, oh, I know God, tithing is it. I'm done. Like, I know it works. It's a law of God. And then 2 years later, I'm like, well, no, I'm totally into this whole Abraham thing and I'm just going to vibrationally align with it. And, also I found this other teacher and they told me that all I really need to do is just know in my mind that I've tithed and I don't actually have to do anything. And then as long as I think that I've done it in my mind, it'll actually happen. Yeah, it's all going to happen in your mind. Just like if you were to try to plant seeds in a garden and you thought about it all in your mind and you sat and watched the garden all summer long, it's not going to grow anything for you. These are laws that are put in place. It's not trying to get money from you. It's trying to get money to you. That's the idea. So I want you to get this as a gift. The SSF, the original, recorded, replay, Spiritual Special Forces Workshop number 1. It's a gift from me to you to inspire you to activate your faith. Now, don't think of it in terms of you're buying it. I'm letting you, as a token of my appreciation for your involvement in sowing into this ministry, because we love and appreciate you as our faith partner. I'm going to give you that seminar to watch for a limited time, and I'm also going to give you the download of this entire book. Now, with this entire book, there's more information than you could possibly ever need to know. But what I'm going to do with it, in addition to that, is I'm also going to offer you a 1 hour bonus that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a bonus. 1 hour of my time used to be discounted for our ministry partners, $110. Okay, now I did that because I was donating my time, but I just bought into a new franchise. I have a lot of business things I'm building for the family. I am a minister, and I love ministering, and I will do it in private, one-on-one, but because my time is limited, that price is now $300 an hour, and rightfully so. I've used the techniques that I teach in this ministry to bring in millions and millions. That doesn't mean much to me because I'm not using it on personal things like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and homes. I'm doing it to build the kingdom and to build things that are going to spread God's work. Now, for you, what does this mean to you? Well, it means that I value you enough to give you an hour of my time. One-on-one. I'll Zoom record it for you in 2 half-an-hour sessions. You're going to have questions. You're going to go through this course and you're going to say, what does that mean? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be there to help you, and I'm going to guide you through this so that you can use this book as long as you want, because you'll know how to use this book. I'm going to give that to you as a gift. I'm not telling you to do the math. I know people paid $1,900 to come to this workshop. I don't know what it means to you, but I learned things in this workshop because I was very keen on taking out of it what I wanted. I taught the thing, and I still learned because Michael Jaco taught, and I also learned from people that were there. I had a tremendous year that year. I was going through this material for a good 6 months. If you want this, it's yours. I'm giving it to you. If you want to know how to use it, you're going to watch the workshop and learn how to use it, and you have questions, I'm going to give you my time, $300 an hour, to help you out. This package is yours if you want it. Most importantly, I'm asking you to go big for you, to sow into God's kingdom what you want to receive out of God's kingdom. The truth is if you take persons, conditions of matter, qualities of good and evil out of the equation, which is the formula for repentance, by the way, in your thought, where you turn back to God and you stop breaking the first 2 commandments, all that's left is you. What do you think it says to you in your own unconscious when you give big fearlessly and you know that you can't outgive God? And you know that the seed that leaves your hand doesn't just evaporate, it enters your future where it multiplies. You know that when man thinks he's given, he's receiving. You know that you're creating ripples in the water that can be felt all over equally because there's only one substance that you live, move, and have your being in. And you know that what blesses one blesses all. And you know that an unself love receives immediate divine power. You know these things, but you got to pull the trigger and never look back. You got to be willing to go down believing in God, spiritual special forces. You got to be willing to lay down your life to gain life. That material personality has got to go. God's wealth is what you're going to reflect, not your own. God's wealth is what's pouring out through you when you're using unself love. It's His love that is filling those needs. There is no material substance. It says one is not intelligent, the other is intelligent. Mary Baker Eddy. Now look, there are some people that will say, well, Mary Baker Eddy, what kind of cult is this? Look, Mary Baker Eddy had the largest ministry in the world at her time. She was a female at the same time. She spent the majority of her adult life sick or in bed or disabled. And when she learned the science of what she calls Christian Science, she not only proved it by healing her own life, but there are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who have healed from everything you can think of under the sun by discovering her teachings, which root all the way back to the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Truth, all of the Gospels they took out of the Bible that are still there. You just have to look for them. that help you cipher what's in the real Bible that you read. Mary Baker Eddy discovered this. What is she teaching you? When you go to their church, you know they ask you for a tithe. They pass the basket around. They're not doing it because they want to take from you. Mary Baker Eddy would not do something if it didn't have scriptural authority or power, because she demonstrated more healings on this planet than even Jesus did. You never thought about that, did you? All of the recorded healings that Jesus did, multiply them times 100, and you might be where Mary Baker Eddy was in her contribution in what she calls the same Christ discovery that Jesus the man discovered. And Mary Baker Eddy says an unself love receives immediate divine power, and what blesses one blesses all. Think about this. Feed your faith. Step into your future. Take ownership. Take ownership. What you put in is what you're going to get out. What do you think is in this? What do you think you can get out of this? What are you willing to put into it? That's the important question. You can only give to yourself. Start loving yourself. You have to be meek to inherit the kingdom. Look, you're watching me teach you with the books laid on my bed. How much more meek does it get than that? Do you want me to get up in a fancy suit and really put on a first-class performance for you? Because I can. You got to come to a live event for that. If you want to just be casual and you want me to just drop the truth so that you can put it to work and through your meekness to accept what's coming to you now, the wisdom that's reaching you, you can step into a much more prosperous future. In fact, you'll do circles around those people that are going to all those fancy productions that go week after week. And they're all dressed in their best on Sundays, but they're not even hearing the word because they're not doing it. Some of them are. All of them think they are, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the simplicity of the gospel. See, how simple is it for me to minister to you right here? The law of least effort, not the law of most effort. I don't need to put on a band and hire, an orchestra and put on a $100,000 event to preach the word from you, preach the word to you and then ask you to, donate and give to the ministry. Why would I do that? First of all, you couldn't be there. Second of all, you wouldn't be there. Third of all, let me just read this to you. Let me just allow you to take the wisdom in yourself, because that's the secret. See, the preacher needs to get you to go and chew on the word so that it gets into your heart, not read it to you every week. Why don't you chew on these words with me right now? He who keeps the law makes many offerings. He who heeds the commandments sacrifices a peace offering. He who returns a kindness offers fine flour. And he who gives alms sacrifices a thank offering. To keep from wickedness is pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is atonement. To be at one with the Father, atonement means at one with, the mind of the Father, atonement. Forsaking unrighteousness means to forsake the material personality. That's unrighteousness. That means also lean not on your own understanding, but on every word of God. Do not appear before the Lord empty-handed, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment. The offering of a righteous man anoints the altar, and it pleases, its pleasing odor rises before the Most High. You know what that is? That pleasing odor is honor. When you step into honor, it is pleasing to the Lord. The sacrifice of a righteous man is acceptable, and the memory of it will not be forgotten. Your tithe is a picture of your faith. The memory will not be forgotten. Glorify the Lord generously. You got to act like it's a marriage. Like, if you were the man in the marriage, traditionally speaking, and this is your bride, the bride of Christ, and you're trying to woo her, you're trying to come and stand correct. Are you going to give her a $5 bill and say, hey, hon, we're going out tonight? Are you serious? And do not stint the first fruits of your hands. With every gift, show a cheerful face and dedicate your tithe with gladness. It doesn't say that you don't have to tithe. All the New Agers told you that you don't. You don't have to tithe. I'm not telling you have to tithe. You can stay doing it on your own human reasoning if you want and be the material personality. But this is the law of God. If you want to keep the law of God, you can't be the material personality. They can't both exist in the same space. One keeps the law, the other is a transgressor. He's unrighteous. Material man is foreign to God, human reasoning is the devil, and that is an unrighteous coward. God will not anoint that person. I only tell you because I did this, and I do this. I can't speak to you and tell you to do what I don't do. I would have no knowledge of it, and I couldn't be able to give you the bread of this scripture if I had no knowledge of it. It would just be useless words. Give to the Most High as He has given. So if you look at your life right now and you tally up all the joy in your life and all the gratitude that you can come up with, and you know that you're giving to the Most High, are you tossing in your last couple bucks in the basket as it comes around? That's all God gave you? Your entire life? That's all it's worth to you? Your life is worth a couple scraps, but yet you'll go to the liquor store and buy a $40 bottle of alcohol, or you'll go out to a steak dinner and spend $250, but you can't see when you're in the presence of God that honoring Him is the odor that rises before Him, and the offering of this righteous man anoints that altar, but you don't want to do it. Do not appear before the Lord empty-handed, but they do it every single week. Because why would you give a couple little leftover peanuts in the sight of God and the Holy Spirit, thinking that, first of all, God doesn't know your heart? That's sad. It robs man of his ability to reflect God's wealth. That's why it's sad. The sacrifice, okay, give to the Most High as He is given, and as generously as your hand has found, for the Lord is the one who repays. You got something you can't get in this world right here. You can look all around this world to the nth degree, spend your entire life looking for a single person that you can trust with your life. You won't find a single person. But you've got a Lord that will repay you. A Lord that doesn't lie, is incapable of lying, and He will repay you sevenfold. It says right there. In the movie In God We Test, they tell you, I tell you, I'm your rabbi. Right here, right now, receive my words. I've done it. You see, the reason why I can teach you and I have authority is because I do it and I've done it. I know the Father has done it, and according to His word, it is His wealth that I've reflected. Praise you, Father. Praise you, God. I pray that you'll have the heart to understand what you've been given and why this ministry right here is probably the most important ministry that you've ever been tapped into, because I'm the one challenging you to put God to the test. I've been doing it since day one, and I've seen a lot of people leave because I've done it, and I've watched their lives over the last few years, and they're still complaining about everything in the world, left and right. All their posts are negative. It's always about how they're on the truth side and all the bad people are doing this and that and this and that and this and that. Good luck with that. They haven't heard a single thing God said because they're not doing any of it. If God made all and said it was good, for you to say that this evil is coming to take over this world and to do all these negative things, is that the material personality saying that? Or is that the righteous man of God that sees only God's face and God's countenance? Well, only the righteous man of God can receive the sevenfold return. The offering of a righteous man anoints the altar, not an unrighteous material personality person. See, they don't teach you this in any of your church. You don't know how to unlock the blessing unless you know these things. I'm not just giving you a coverall, a hope story. I'm showing you every detail right here because I've done it. And it's not because of me. It's because of God. And that's why I minister to you, because it's in spite of me. It's because I can talk in a bed and I can sit here in my workout clothes all day, every day. I can go walk the hills. I can hike for 4 hours a day. I can give generously, and God takes care of my needs because I've trusted Him and I've seen that He repays. So what do you think I do when I want more money? What do you think I do? When man thinks he's given, he's receiving. Either you use your faith or you use your reasoning, and that determines whether you're the righteous one or the unrighteous one. And in that moment, you activate this law or you don't. I bet you weren't expecting this moment. All right, so my daughter last night, Leora, we were all at the dinner table and everybody was going around talking about, their favorite Bible stories. And Leora says, well, my favorite is Cain and Abel. And she explained the story. And I said, there's more into that story than you think. I said, you just keep thinking about that story, because I want to tell you what I think about the story. Let me read it to you right now. I want to minister to you. I want to make a change in your heart so that you give your life to God. You will prosper, no doubt. When you get that cloud of human reasoning out of sight, the light comes through your thought, and it comes through you into the world, through your activity, through your actions. And when God can use you because you are the willing participant for his light in this world, his wealth becomes manifest because it is manifesting himself through you. Genesis 4, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Interesting. Keeper of sheep. Wasn't Christ a keeper of sheep? Doesn't he say, my sheep know my name? Wait. The nature of the Christ is what keeps the sheep. They don't tell you that in the church, do they? No, they can't. They don't know this. Some of them do. Don't let them fool you. But Cain was a tiller of the ground. Like as in he was like earthbound, walking the ground, material man, material personality, starting to ring a bell. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. He gave that crap that he learned walking the earth from what he hears, smells, see, taste, and touched, and he thought he would offer that in his thought realm to God, which is blasphemy, taking graven images from a material world that never happened, full of envy, and bringing that into your holy of holies, your imagination, and putting that in front of the Lord. They don't tell you that in church, that's what it means, do they? And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. Gosh, that reminds me of when you catch a hook and you cast a hook in the sea and you take the first fish that comes up and you open its mouth and you pay the taxes. It sounds like the same phenomenon going on here. Why is that so? Because Abel's the intuitive right side of the brain. Cain is the left one. And they're brothers. Means you see they're together in your head, allegedly. Get it? And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Why is that? Well, don't tell the right hand what your left hand's doing. Don't tell the left hand what the right hand's doing. Because free from human thought, I want you to understand this. Free from human thought, divine thought becomes manifest. Wholly separate from the material dream of your human five senses that you are talking about all day long and thinking about all day long is the life divine. Abel is the life divine. Cain is what you looked at in your pocketbook to decide how much you can afford to give. Cain is what you thought about the bill that's coming next week that you got to save for. Cain is when you looked at your past and you said, well, this is the best I've ever done, and this is where my fear of tolerance taps me out. That's it. I'm out. I gave $100 last month. That's it. I'm tapping out. That's all I can give God. That's Cain. Tilling the ground. You're tilling the ground, bringing that to God. Abel is receiving a divine message, an angel message, as Mary Baker Eddy describes, from God. Receiving that angel message that changes your entire life. Like the day that I walked into Barnes & Noble bookstore and I found a book by Catherine Ponder, page 13. Tithing establishes order in mind, body, and affairs, and where one is established in order, one cannot remain in debt. You see, something like that I read. That angel thought came to me, and from that day forward, I started tithing. Changed my entire life. Without it, I dread thinking of what would have possibly happened, because the best I would have ever become would have been nothing compared to what God did for me. I promise you that. Nothing compared to what God did. I was working with Abel. Now listen to this. But unto Cain and to his offerings he had no respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? Look, stop, please. Let me minister to you. Humble yourself and receive it from me. Yeah, the guy who wears his baseball hat. The guy who works out twice a day. The guy who'd rather walk for 3 hours a day than doing anything else because all he cares about is God and God's word. That's me. I think you should listen to me. It says right here, why are you angry? Do you feel angry when you have to give? Like, ah, man, it's a burden. And why is your countenance fallen? In other words, why are you looking to human reasoning, to the ways of the earth? In all of the 5 sense reports that aren't even there, you're looking at an empty carcass, and you're getting angry about it? If thou dost well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest well. That's what it means, doest. And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desires, and thou shalt rule over him. What do you think that means? And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. There it is. You get a word from God. You hear a word from God. He says, step into my faith. Do it this way. Trust me. I can expand you. God sends you an angel message, but your left brain comes along and destroys it with reasoning, kills it right then and there. Right then and there. The story is about that. That's what it's about. This out with Malachi 3, and we'll start at verse 9. I think we should start at verse 9, not 10. You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me, even this whole nation. You stepped into being Cain. You were the material personality. You're living in the cloud of human fog and reasoning versus the life divine. That's how you robbed God. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there shall be meat in mine house. And prove me now. Prove me now. Test me now. He's saying, this is a commandment, saith the Lord of hosts. It's funny because God's hosting you. See, you're being hosted in God's substance. And God's saying, can you just follow my command like a computer program? God's hosting you, and God has a command, and all you have to do is get in line with that script, and it carries out the command flawlessly. Return a sevenfold. If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be enough room to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. And he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. That's your left linear, logical, human reasoning, lying, humanized brain, the devourer. That's the one that's trying to kill Abel. God's saying if you tithe, he'll rebuke it, so it won't destroy the fruit of your ground. Your ground is now in heaven because you have brought all of your substance into God's house. There shall be me at my house, right? That's how I look at it. But if you come into God's spiritual kingdom, how? I never had a human life. I was never born of flesh. I never left heaven. God's heaven is operating right now as the only law and principle and activity. Right here where I sit is God's kingdom. All I can do is enrich myself when I step into my faith, and if I go big, God goes big. Oh, that's fun. I've played small for a long time. Let's play big now. God's going to open the windows of heaven and pour out the blessing. It's not my job. I just have to stay rooted in God's kingdom. Now, that devourer is going to come and say, well, no, you saw the bill last week, and you know that you've never made more than $75,000 a year, and all this nonsense. Lies, lies, lies. Because why? We remove persons, conditions of matter, and circumstances, good and evil. We take that all out of the equation because there aren't two, there is only one. God alone is all. I am the conduit for God, therefore God can do it. He can pour through me, and what I let pour through me will stick to me. God will rebuke the devourer, so I don't have to. What does that mean? It means God's going to break fear off of your life. God's going to break the fear off of your life by sending you an angel, a messenger. Ooh, if you knew what you were looking at, if you only knew, if you only knew. I could break this down to you all day, every day. But it will do nothing compared to what you will do when you start trusting God completely, willing to go down believing even unto the very end, so you can get the crown of glory. And you will be tested. You will have it look like it's not working. The devourer will expose his wrath against you because Cain is going to come to slay you. But remember, you are able, and you are able to put God to the test, because it's not anything more that you have to do other than stop being born of flesh. Stop being full of reasoning. Stop living a personal history that is not his story. Stop dreaming in sin, Adam. You never left heaven. Wake up. You are atoned with God because God is all there is. Follow God's law and demonstrate his wealth. It becomes his supply, and therefore the limitations are gone. That's how you do this. And remember, you sow into this ministry if you receive from this ministry, because it's about honor, where wisdom is reaching you. And when you sow honor, you get favor. And that's the law and the fulfillment of the law. Selah.